A third for the love of Fatima to Zahra with your loudest voices.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Being a youth is a very beautiful period in your life. You're introduced to a new stage in your life. You're no longer a child, yet you're still not an adult. It's a beautiful period. If you ask adults, especially the elderly, what was the most favorite period in your life, they will by far tell you, my youth, my teenage years, the years that I was studying, the years that I was in college, the years that I was preparing for my adult life. However, at the same time, with youth come certain obstacles and difficulties and challenges. The youth days are the days in which a person establishes himself educationally, spiritually. These are the years that youth build themselves. They build their future. It's in these years that you decide what route, which path you wish to take in life. They are crucial years. It's in these years that a person decides whether to be successful in life or whether to be a failure. You rarely find someone who played games during their youth and during their teenage years, and they took it as a joke, and then once they became adults, they decided on being successful and they became successful. It could happen, but it's very rare. If you want success, you decide on being successful when you're young. And if you want to be a failure, that also is an option for you when you're young. You choose two different paths. Which path do you want to take? إِنَّا هَدَيْنَاهُ السَّبِيلَ إِمَّا شَاكِرًا وَإِمَّا كَفُورًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us so many options. There's an option to take that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us to be successful in life, to seek a proper education, to seek a proper job, to make our family members and our children proud of us. And there are other paths that we could take. The paths of success are limited, but the paths of failure are a lot. Now, one key component, my dear friends, one of the key problems that youth face at this time and age, in this period of this life, is laziness. Laziness. The feeling of not wanting to do anything, not wanting to study, not wanting to work, not wanting to write papers and pass exams, without having goals, without having objectives. This is called laziness. There are some people that are extremely lazy. You ask them, what is your goal in life? They don't know. For now, they have no clue what they want to do. They eat, they drink, they sleep, and they waste their precious time. This time that can never be gained back again, to being wasted. You know, there's some people, they like to see sunsets. They think sunsets are romantic, beautiful. I think those people are crazy. What's so romantic about a sunset? When the sun sets, that means you lost a day. If you achieved something good in that day, good for you. Celebrate during the sunset. If you didn't achieve during that day, raise your hands and start doing laton. Because you lost that day. What is so romantic about a sunset? It's a day that is lost, without achievement. If you achieved on that day, you did something productive, good for you. If not, there's no reason to celebrate. Ahadith tell us that a mu'min, a believer, is never lazy. If you're a true mu'min, if you're a true believer, you're not lazy. You're active. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, Al-mu'min yarghabu fima yabqa wa yazhadu fima yafna. A believer takes care and cares about what remains, what lasts, meaning the akhirah, and he cares less about the things that will go, meaning dunya. And then he says, ba'idun kasaluh, da'imun nashatuh. A believer is active. He contributes, he achieves, he works, he's productive, he's not lazy. The word mu'min and lazy do not go in the same sentence. You cannot be a mu'min and lazy at the same time. Impossible. Youth today, unfortunately, they face a major problem, the problem of laziness. And this is a problem that I see wherever I go. And this is why I chose to talk about this topic on this special blessed night, when we celebrate a major member of the Ahlul Bayt, Fatimiyya al-Zahra alayhi salam. The Ahlul Bayt were not lazy. The Ahlul Bayt achieved, they produced, they contributed ethically, spiritually, academically. Look at their achievements. Look at their ahadith. Look at their sayings. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam in Kufa, he went to Kufa. He would speak in Kufa. Some scholars say that he had over 4,000 students that attended his lessons. كُلٌّ يَقُولْ حَدَّثَنِي جَعْفَرُ بْنُ مُحَمَّدٍ. 4,000 students. They say, I narrate from Ja'far ibn Muhammad. Imam al-Sadiq achieved. Imam al-Baqir achieved. The Imams all produced and achieved and contributed. When we celebrate the life of Ahlul Bayt and we shed tears for them, let's learn something from them. Otherwise, our tears are useless. Our sessions are useless. The Ahlul Bayt want actions from us. They want us to learn from them and to emulate them and to imitate them. Today, the problem of laziness, it's widespread. You see youth that spend the night, they're awake. At night they're awake. During the day they sleep. At night, unfortunately, with technology is a good thing if it's used in a good way. But it could also be used in a bad way. How many youth, they spend the night watching movies, on social media. And with social media, you could spend 2 hours and you think you've spent 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You don't realize it, and your time is killed. And you stay up till 3 and 4. And then you sleep in till noon, till 1. Now when is this youth going to go study? When is he going to go seek an education? When is he going to go work? This time is being wasted. I tell my dear youth that, my dear friends, don't waste your time. Don't waste your nights and days. Now this is a very bad habit to stay up at night. It's a bad habit. There are hadith that say, if you want to stay up at night, it should either be for studying, you're reading for an exam, you're writing a paper, this is good. If you're studying, you're staying up at night for educational purposes, this is good, this is mustahab. Or for praying, worshipping, connecting to Allah Azza wa Jal, improving your relationship with Allah. Otherwise, if it's not for these reasons, you're wasting your time. وَجَعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ لِبَاسًا وَجَعَلْنَا النَّهَارَ مَعَاشًا. Night is for sleep, it's for relaxing, and day is for working. There are some youth, they do the opposite. Instead of sleeping at night, they stay up all night and they sleep during the day. When is it that you want to go study? When is it that you want to go work? This is a problem. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So let's give a couple of signs of laziness. Let's see, do we fit or do we not fit? Do we fit the characteristics of a lazy person or no? Number one, a lot of sleeping. A lot of sleeping. A sign of a lazy person is that he sleeps more than he's awake. I know some youth, mashallah, when it comes to sleeping, 13 hours, 14 hours, they don't get tired of sleeping. And you know, the thing about sleep is the more you sleep, the more you want to sleep. Get your body in the habit of sleeping less and working more. We can teach our bodies, believe me. This humanly body of ours, yes, it needs to sleep, it needs to eat, it needs to drink. But we teach our bodies what it needs. I know some scholars, for years, they used to sleep for 4 hours or 5 hours a day. Now, I'm not asking you to sleep for 4 hours. Each person needs maybe 7 hours of sleep, no more. If you're sleeping more than that, you're not achieving, you're not producing, you're wasting that time. So this is one, a lot of sleep. Another sign of a lazy person is very little production, very little contribution. What did you do this year? What did you achieve? What is it that you do? Of course, achievement and production is relative. It depends on what you do. If you're a doctor, your achievements are different than if you're a lawyer, or an engineer, or a professor, or a scholar in Hawza, for example. How much did you contribute in your line of work? You should know that. Did you achieve and produce and contribute or no? Lazy people do not contribute. They have nothing to contribute. 3, a sign of a lazy person is that he always has excuses. Why don't you have a job? Oh, don't you know about the economy? Don't you know that I'm a Muslim and here there's Islamophobia, and because I'm a Muslim I can't get a job? Don't you? They'll make up they're experts in excuses and justifications. When you tell them, why don't you study? Why don't you do this? Why don't you get a job? Why don't you get a promotion? They always have their excuses ready. Before you even ask the question, they have their excuses ready. That's the sign of a lazy person. He never blames himself. He never says, yes, it's because of me. It's because I don't have a strong intention or strong willpower. No, a lazy person always makes excuse. They're good at making excuses for themselves, and they never put the blame on themselves. My dear friends, a lazy person can never be successful. Never. Not in school, not in business, not at work, not in the community, not as a husband. Someone who is lazy cannot be a good husband. Someone who is lazy cannot be a good father. Someone who is lazy cannot be a good wife and not a good mother. Because they're lazy. They're not willing to work. They're not willing to do anything. A lazy person can never be successful in life. Have you ever seen a marja' that came, a grand ayatollah for the Shia community who used to sleep for 12 hours a day? Have you seen a successful business person or a CEO that spends the night up watching Netflix or on social media and sleeps the entire day but becomes the CEO of Microsoft or Apple? Have you heard of this? If I told you that Steve Jobs used to spend the night watching movies and sleeping during the day, would you believe me? How would he become the CEO of Apple? How would he be the founder of Apple by killing his time and being someone lazy? It's not possible. It's not possible. You cannot be what you want to be if you continue being lazy. Whether you want to be a doctor or a businessman or a lawyer or a scholar or a professor or whatever it is that you want to be, you have to change this habit. I would like to talk about laziness in 4 main areas. وصلى على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Number 1, our youth, some of them, they're lazy when it comes to studying. when it comes to seeking knowledge, when it comes to seeking an education. They're not in the mood. They're just not up to it. Writing papers? No way. Studying for exams? No. Making commitments? Absolutely not. They're not up to it. Studying, knowledge, education is the first path to success. Wherever it is that you want to reach in life, it starts with studying, getting a proper education. Some youth, they're not willing. And this was a problem from the days of the Ahlul Bayt, if not even earlier. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam would say, I wish I could beat my companions to get them to study. I wish I can grab a whip and whip the Shia youth who don't study. To this point, Imam Sadiq is upset from the lazy Shia youth at his time for not taking the advantage of his presence to study, to seek knowledge. Not just religious education, even a secular education. Go out and study. But some are lazy. My dear youth, my dear brothers and sisters, let me tell you something. You are blessed. You have an opportunity. You live here in the West. You have the best universities. You have the best opportunities. You live in countries where there's no bias. There's no bias here. You can apply to any university. As long as you have the proper grades, you'll get accepted. You have no excuses. Don't say, I'm an Arab or an Afghan or an Iranian, I'm a Muslim. There's no bias. Don't make excuses. And there's the best universities. Go out and apply to these universities and study. And by the way, bachelor's degrees are no longer enough. Maybe 10 years ago, it was enough to have a bachelor's degree. Today, it's not enough. Go out and get a master's. If you can go out and get a PhD, get a PhD. It's become accessible. If you have the energy, do it. Back home in Iraq, Afghanistan, other countries, there are youth that would die to be in your position. That would die to come here in the West and get a proper education. And some did. Don't we hear every day about a boat sinking in the ocean? Refugees trying to come to get an education? There are youth willing to kill themselves to get a proper education. You're already here. Thank Allah for this ni'mah, for this blessing. Take advantage of it. Go and seek a proper education. Go and apply to the best universities. This is the land of opportunity. You have no excuses. Absolutely no excuses. And by the way, be creative. When you go into university and you choose a profession, be creative. Our communities, unfortunately, it's as if only 3 fields exist, no other fields. Being a doctor, or a lawyer, or an engineer. It's as if no other field exists. There's so many other fields. Be creative. Do what you want to do. What is your passion? What is it that you love? Whatever it is that as long as it's halal, of course. What you have a passion for doing, do it. Don't be intimidated. Don't let anyone pressure you. Of course, have respect for your parents. Maybe your parents want you to be something. Have respect for your parents, but be what you want to be. Do what you want to do. Your parents want you to become a doctor, but you want to be something else. Have respect for your parents, but be what you want to be, because this is your life. And you have to be passionate about what you want to do. If you don't like your job, your life will be miserable. You will wake up in the morning hating yourself. You don't want to do that. Do what you want to do. I've said in some of my lectures, even if you want to be an athlete, that's okay. Be an athlete, but be the best athlete that you can be. Whatever it is that you want to do, be the best at it. So this is the land of opportunity. And believe me, this is an opportunity that will pass you by. Tomorrow you'll get married, you'll have children, and your dreams will all go. Now that you're not married, some of you, I don't know, you're not married, or you're married, but you still can study, seek knowledge, get an education before you have 3, 4 kids, and you can't. Seek this opportunity. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So this is one. Number 2, laziness in working. Laziness in working. You know, some of us, we came to Europe, America, Australia, New Zealand. Some of our family members, they were refugees. They came and they were given homes, they were given salaries, they were given income support. And there are some who came to these countries and decided not to work. Why would you work? When the government is supporting you and offering you income support, and they're offering you a home, and you have medical services all for free, why would you work? This mentality is very dangerous, my dear friends. It's very dangerous. This mentality should go away with the first generation. It cannot continue with the second and third generation of Muslims in these countries. Depending on the government, not for the youth. This is not an option. This is for our elders, our pioneers that came. That mentality should go with them. We need the culture of working, achieving, going to work, waking up early in the morning, have your coffee or tea, whatever it is that you want, and then you go to work. And you come back late in the evening. We live in countries where the culture is to work. There's no sitting at home and relying on the government or relying on income support. Absolutely not. Please don't learn from the older generation. You go on and you work and you achieve. You don't depend on anyone else. مَلْعُونٌ مَنْ أَلْقَى كَلَّهُ عَلَى غَيْرِهِ. The hadith says, cursed is the one who relies on others for his means of income. Cursed is the one that relies on others. You don't rely on others. It is one of the sources of pride of a person that he makes his own means of living and he doesn't rely on anyone else. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, he saw one of his companions, he saw a young man worshipping inside his mosque in Al-Masjid al-Nabawi. Worshipping all day, from morning till night. Fasting, he would fast every day. And he would spend the entire day praying, reciting Qur'an, reciting dua, and praying. And then he would see that 3 or 2 times a day, someone would come and bring him food for suhoor and for iftar. So he said, who is this person? He called them. He said, what's your story? You're worshipping every day and you're bringing him food. So what's your story? They said, Ya Rasulullah, we are 2 brothers. We made an agreement. One of us would worship all day, fast every day, and the other would go out and work and support the one worshipping. Rasulullah looked at the one who would work and support the one worshipping. He said, you're the real worshipper, not this guy. You're the real worshipper. This is the real worship. Not the one sitting inside the masjid, being lazy, not going out to work. The masjid is for times for salah. You come for Fajr, Dhuhr and Asr, Maghrib and Isha, 3 times a day. Otherwise, you don't belong in the masjid. That is why we have an-nawafil, recommended prayers. It's not recommended to pray them at the masjid. It's recommended to pray them at home. During the day, you go out and you work. You don't come and sit at the masjid to recite Qur'an. Reciting Qur'an is good, but not when it's time for you to work. Rasulullah looked at the one working. He told him, you're the real worshipper, not this guy. You see how Rasulullah expanded the meaning of worship? For us, when you hear the word worship, immediately you think praying, fasting, reciting Qur'an, reciting dua. No. Worship has a much broader concept. الكاد على عياله كالمجاهد في سبيل الله. He who goes out to work and make a living and has to deal with people and fight with people and bring home bread, Rasulullah says that this person with a mujahid, someone who's fighting the enemy in the battlefield, they're the same. They're the same. If you go out in the workplace and you're earning a living, you have to go out. Maybe some of you have to leave your families. You have to leave your children. You have to go and fight with people, not physically fight, but bargain and make a living. This is jihad. This is jihad of its own. In Islam, to work is something sacred. You don't find this in any other religion, I assure you. Islam made working something sacred, something holy. It considered it as a form of worship. Al-Shahid al-Sadr, rahmatullah alayhi, Sayyid Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr, has a very beautiful article. He says that masjid, people, when they hear the word masjid, immediately they assume a qubba, a dome with 2 minarets, a place with a mihrab, and this is one form of masjid. He says any place in which you work for the sake of Allah, that place is a masjid. If you help people cross the street, that's your masjid. In the metro, you help someone that doesn't speak Dutch or English, you help them find their way, the metro becomes your masjid, according to Sayyid Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr. Isn't that beautiful? Anywhere you serve Allah, and when you go out and you work, you'll be rewarded. Because Allah likes that. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, one day he saw one of his companions, he was a gardener. His hands were dirty. He had soil and dirt on his hand. Rasulullah grabbed this hand and he kissed it. And he said, هَذِهِ يَدٌ يُحِبُّهَا اللَّهِ. This is a hand that Allah loves. The hand that's dirty. The hand that's put in soil and in dirt, that works. This is a hand that Allah loves. So let's pay attention, my dear friends. There should be no laziness when it comes to work. You don't rely on anyone. I see some teenagers, some youth, not teenagers, youth. They're in their 20s. Some have reached their 30s. They rely on their parents, on his father. No, you don't do that anymore. You stand on your feet. You go and you work. You find a proper job. Before that, you have to get a proper education. You make your own living. You don't reach your 30s or mid-20s and you still rely on your parents. You stand on your own feet. This is what Islam teaches us. Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam says, إِنِّي لَأَبْغَضُ الرَّجُلِ أَن يَكُونَ كَسْلَانًا عَنْ أَمْرِ دُنْيَاهِ وَمَنْ كَسَلَ عَنْ أَمْرِ دُنْيَاهِ فَهُوَ عَنْ أَمْرِ آخِرَتِهِ أَكْسَلْ. He says, I hate to see a person, a man, that is lazy towards his dunya. Because if you're lazy towards dunya, that means you're even lazier towards what? Towards what? Akhirah. If you're not willing to work for this dunya right now, are you willing to work for the akhirah that will come in so many years? No, you won't. You'll be lazy. اعمل لدنياك كأنك تعيش أبدا واعمل لآخرتك كأنك تموت غدا. Work for this life, it's as if you will live forever. And work for the next life as if you will die tomorrow. This is what Islam teaches us. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Number 3, laziness in worship. You see some people, when it comes to getting an education, they're active. They went to the best universities. When it comes to making money and making a livelihood and getting a job, they're active, they're successful. But when it comes to their relationship with Allah, when it comes to worship, they're lazy. You tell them, do 2 recommended prayers. No, they're lazy. When it comes time for salah, for adhan, they delay their salah. They don't rush. They don't rush to perform the salah. By the way, you see there's a relationship between rushing in this life and rushing in the next. If we rush to good deeds in this life, Allah on the Day of Judgment will make us rush to heaven. If we delay in this life, we'll be delayed in the next. Ask me, what is your proof? I'll tell you. As-sabiqun al-sabiqun. Here, those who rush to good deeds, to salah, to fasting, to any good deeds, on the Day of Judgment they'll be first to enter paradise. If you delay here, you'll be delayed over there. Keep this in mind. This is a law. This is a law. As-sabiqun as-sabiqun. وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. In Islam, be quick. Don't be slow. Islam teaches us to be quick when it comes to good deeds. Any good deeds. Whether it's salah, hajj. You have money to go to hajj. You go this year. You don't go next year. You have money now and you want to support a project, support it now. Let me tell you the story. Salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. A couple of years ago, I was in Hajj with one of my older brothers. We were in Hajj. There was a gentleman with us in Hajj. My brother told me, this person, he's a doctor, and he's very wealthy. He has a lot of investments. He said, this gentleman called me 2 months or 1 month before Hajj. He told me, I'd like to pay my khums. I told him, okay. He said, but I don't know how to calculate my khums. I told him, khums is basically 1/5 of the surplus of your income. How much profit did you make this year? You pay 1/5 of that profit. For example, if you profited this year 5,000 euros, you pay 1,000 euro for khums. So he told me, I don't know how to calculate my khums. I helped him calculate. His khums was $1 million. He said, $1 million? I have to pay $1 million to go to Hajj? I said, well, if you want your Hajj to be accepted, you have to pay khums. He said, good night, Sayyid. I hung up. I said, he's not going to pay his khums. Obviously, it's $1 million. He said, I went to sleep at 5 in the morning. He called me on my cell phone. I looked. What is this guy, crazy, calling me at 5 in the morning? He said it was close to Fajr, so I picked up. He said, Sayyid, I want to pay my khums. I told him, now it's 5 in the morning. Wait till I get to my office at 9 in the morning. He said, no, Sayyid, I want to pay my khums now. I told him, why? He said, Sayyid, you went to sleep, but I didn't sleep. Because for the past 5 hours, I've been having a battle with shaitan. He's telling me, don't pay. I'm telling him, no, I will pay. And just right now, I decided I will pay my khums. I'm afraid shaitan will come to me. I want to give you my money before shaitan comes back to me. وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. That's why I say, whenever you make a decision to help, support a project, you make a pledge, 1,000 euros, 500 euros, 100 euros, give it immediately, because shaitan will come to you and he will tell you, this is your money, why are you giving it to this project? You earned hard. Give it quickly. So where was I? Laziness and worship. There's some people, an entire month will pass by and they didn't offer 2 rak'ah of recommended. Some of us, I'm talking about the religious ones, let's leave the non-religious. There's some religious people, they only do what is wajib. Salatul subh, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib and Isha, and that's it. 2 recommended prayers, some Qur'an, some dua, nothing. Spiritually dry. How many Thursday nights pass us and we don't recite dua kumail? And we say next week inshallah. And then the next Thursday comes, no dua kumail. And the week after, and the week after. Lazy. How long does dua kumail take? 10 minutes. How long does a 2-unit salah take before Salat al-Fajr? You know, there's a hadith that says if you recite ركعتان قبل الفجر, ركعتي الفجر, نافلة الفجر, it's just 2 units. Exactly like Salat al-Fajr. I've seen a hadith that says these 2 units, نافلة الفجر, it's equivalent to Salat al-Layl. But sometimes we're lazy. We're not even willing to do these 2 units before Salat al-Fajr. How lazy can we get? Unfortunately. I know some people that would rather spend 1 hour going through Instagram and Snapchat and Twitter and Facebook, but not spend 5 minutes with the Qur'an. They're not willing to give 2 minutes to dua. Forget dua. Forget mafatih al-Janan. Raise your hands to Allah. Say something in your heart. What is it that's in your heart that you want to say to Allah? Say it. Some people are not even willing to take 2 minutes out of their day. Laziness. This is called lazy. Some are lazy with studying. Some are lazy with working. Some are lazy when it comes to worship. When it comes to connecting to Allah Azza wa Jal. Ghusl al-Jum'ah. On Fridays, there's a ghusl that's mustahab called Ghusl al-Jum'ah. It doesn't take more than 5 minutes. We all take showers, inshallah. I'm sure you take a shower on Friday. Make it Ghusl al-Jum'ah. It doesn't take any time. There's a hadith that says he who performs Ghusl al-Jum'ah on Fridays, this hadith says, Allahu A'lam, that the sins from Friday to Friday will be erased. Inna al-hasanat. You might ask me, this hadith doesn't make sense. No, the Qur'an says, Inna al-hasanat yudhibna as-sayyi'at. Good deeds erase the bad deeds. This is one of the gifts of Allah Azza wa Jal. That when we do good deeds, the bad deeds will be erased. Any bad deeds that you did, they'll be erased. One of them is Ghusl al-Jum'ah. But you see some people, maybe an entire month, maybe an entire year passes by and they don't even know what Ghusl al-Jum'ah is. What is Ghusl al-Jum'ah? Let's not be lazy. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Why are we lazy when it comes to worship? You know why? Let me give you an example. If you're going to the movie theater, right? It's a Friday night. You've decided to go with your friends to watch a movie. On your way to the movie theater, you almost get in a car accident. You almost get in a car accident. A deadly car accident. Now you go to the movie theater and you're watching a movie. Where's your mind? Can you concentrate on this movie? Or your mind is where? With the car accident. That you almost had a car accident. Will you enjoy that movie? Can you enjoy it? No. Maybe your friends will. Everyone else in the movie theater will enjoy that movie except you. Because your mind is somewhere else. Or you have an exam the following day. Will you enjoy the movie? Of course not. You're looking at it, but your mind is somewhere else. Perhaps you want to even leave. You're not enjoying it because your mind is preoccupied. My dear friends, we don't look forward to worship. We become lazy for worship. Why? Because our minds and our hearts, they're with dunya, not with akhirah. Our minds are preoccupied with our jobs, schools, business, fashion, the dress that you want to buy, the new shoes that you got, your iPhone, your car, dunya. If your heart is with dunya, it can't be with akhirah as well. Your heart is enough for one. You can't have two. There's a hadith says, إِنَّ الْقَلْبِ حَرَمُ اللَّهِ. Our hearts should be for Allah Azza wa Jal. Don't put anyone else in that heart. If the mind is preoccupied with dunya, obviously you're not going to enjoy worship. With worship you have to be thinking of Allah, of the akhirah, of the next life, of death, of life after death. But if you're working all about dunya, working for dunya, concentrating on dunya, obviously you're not going to enjoy worship. This is one reason. Another reason is because of past experiences. Some of us, we force ourselves to worship. And this is a mistake. Perhaps you forced yourself, you worship too much, that you've developed a past experience, that you've hated worship. That's why you no longer want to worship. Don't ever force yourself to worship. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam states, خُذُوا مِنَ الْعِبَادَةِ مَا تَطِيقُونَ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَسْأَمْ حَتَّى تَسْأَمُوا. Worship to the point that you can take. Don't force yourself. If you feel like, of course when I'm talking about worship, which worship am I speaking about? The recommended, not the mandatory. The mandatory we have to do. The mandatory worship we have to do without question. But the recommended worship, don't force it on yourself. Otherwise you begin to hate it. If they bring you a meal, even if it's the most delicious meal, but if you're not hungry and you're forced to eating it, guess what? You're going to hate that meal. And probably for the next couple of months, maybe the next couple of years, you're not going to eat that meal. Even if it's your most favorite meal. Anything that it's forced upon us, we won't like. We won't enjoy. Don't force worship on you. If you want to enjoy worship, go to worship when you feel like speaking to Allah. Of course, again, I'm speaking about recommended worship, not the mandatory. For example, Salat al-Layl, reciting Qur'an, recite dua. Go when you feel that you're attached to Allah Azza wa Jal. Your heart turns to Allah. But when it's not, don't. Otherwise you will develop a hatred for that worship. There were two neighbors during the days of Imam al-Sadiq. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam tells his companions, he says there were two neighbors, a Muslim and a Christian. The Muslim neighbor, he convinced his Christian neighbor to convert to Islam. Beautiful. This is great. لَأَنْ يَهْدِيَ اللَّهُ بِكَ رَجُلًا وَاحِدًا فَخَيْرٌ لَكَ مِمَّا طَلَعَتْ عَلَيْهِ الشَّمْسُ. Rasulullah tells Abu Dhar that if you can guide one person to Islam, then you will have the reward better than anything that the sun rises over. What does the sun rise over? Your reward is greater than that. So this Muslim neighbor, he convinced his Christian neighbor to convert to Islam. The first day that he became a Muslim, his Muslim neighbor, he called him in the morning. He told him, we have to go to the masjid for Fajr. We have to go for masjid. They went to the masjid. He told them, Fajr is in 30 minutes. We have plenty of time. So let's pray Salat al-Layl. Told them, okay. They prayed Salat al-Layl. And then it was Fajr time. They prayed Fajr. After Fajr, he told them, it's makruh to sleep between Fajr and sunrise. So let's stay in the masjid. They stayed in the masjid. When it was sunrise, he told them, what's the rush? Let's stay and pray, recite Qur'an. They prayed and recited Qur'an until noon. He told them, Salat al-Dhuhr is in a couple of minutes. Let's wait for Salat al-Dhuhr. They stayed for Salat al-Dhuhr. He told them, by the way, we didn't eat today, so let's just make the intention to fast. So they fasted. He kept him till Asr, till Maghrib, till Isha, according to Imam Sadiq. He went back at Isha. The next day for Salat al-Fajr, the Muslim neighbor came to his Christian neighbor who just converted to Islam, he knocked the door. The Christian man or the Muslim man, he came out, he said, what do you want? He said, it's time to go to the masjid. He said, you can go to the masjid. I'm not going anywhere. He said, why? He said, you know what? I forget about your Islam. If this is your Islam, I don't want your Islam. I have nothing else to do than to spend the entire day in the masjid. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam says, don't be like this Muslim neighbor that got his neighbor to convert to Islam and then got him to go back to Christianity. Don't be like this person. However, at the same time, we shouldn't be lazy when it comes to worship. Let's remember Allah once in a while. Dua, Qur'an. You know, a lot of us, most of us, we have a Qur'an app or a dua app on our phones that we never use. Let's remember Allah once in a while. Let's not be lazy. Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam in dua, Abu Hamza al-Thamali, he says, my Lord, listen to this, I'm concluding. He says, my Lord, why is it that every time I make a decision to get up in the middle of the night to pray Salatul Layl, all of a sudden I feel sleepy and I feel tired. Before that, I'm not tired. But once I make the decision to pray Salatul Layl, all of a sudden I feel tired, I feel sleepy, and I don't pray Salatul Layl. The next day, again, I make a decision to pray Salatul Layl, all of a sudden I feel sleepy and tired. Why, my Lord? You do not want to hear me speak? Allahumma inni kullama qultu قد تهيأت وتعبأت وقمت للصلاة بين يديك وناجيتك ألقيت علي نعاسا إذا أنا ناجيت ألقيت علي نعاسا إذا أنا صليت وسلبتني مناجاتك إذا أنا ناجيت ما لي كلما قلت قد صلحت سريرتي وقرب من مجالس التوابين مجلسي عرضت لي بلي أزالت قدمي وحالت بيني وبين خدمتك سيدي لعلك عن بابك طردتني وعن خدمتك نحيتني أو لعلك رأيتني مستخفا بحقك فأقصيتني أو لعلك رأيتني معرضا عنك فقليتني أو لعلك وجدتني في مقام الكاذبين فرفضتني أو لعلك رأيتني غير شاكر لنعمائك فحرمتني أو لعلك فقدتني من مجالس العلماء فخذلتني أو لعلك رأيتني في الغافلين فمن رحمتك آيستني. Imam al-Hassan says that one night I woke up in the middle of the night. I saw my mother Fatimah az-Zahra standing in her mihrab praying Salat al-Layl. Ilahi al-Af, al-Af, al-Af. He says, I saw her speaking to Allah, seeking forgiveness for her neighbors, for her relatives, for her family members, until it was right about dawn. Fatimah az-Zahra finished Salat al-Layl. He says, I came to my mother. I asked her, my dear mother, you prayed for everyone, but you did not pray for yourself. She said, Bunay Hassan al-Jar thumma ad-Dar. My dear son Hassan, first comes the neighbor, and then comes the house. On nights like this, the mihrab of Fatimah az-Zahra is empty. The angels would enjoy the sound of Fatimah az-Zahra saying astaghfar. But nights like this, that the angels no longer hear the voice of Fatimah az-Zahra alayha salam. Asma bint Umays says that on a day like the days of the martyrdom of Fatimah az-Zahra, Fatimah was lying on her bed. I came to her, I told her, Sayyidati, I see that alhamdulillah, your health has improved. She said, Ya Asma, this is the final day of my life. When Al-Hassan and Hossein come in the next few minutes, please make sure that they eat, because if they find out that I have passed away, they will not eat. Asma bint Umays says that I kept on hearing Fatimah az-Zahra say La ilaha illallah, alhamdulillah, subhanallah. I kept on hearing Fatimah remembering Allah. All of a sudden, the sound of Fatimah became quiet. I went to her, I called her, Ya Sayyidati, Ya Fatimah. She did not answer me. Sayyidati ajibini. My lady, answer me. Fatimah az-Zahra did not answer. I realized that Fatimah had departed this life. I fell onto her. I said, Sayyidati, ablighi salami ila Rasulillah. I covered Fatimah, and she began to weep. She said moments later, Al-Hassan and Hussein walked into the house. They came into Fatimah az-Zahra's bedroom. They did not find Fatimah. Fatimah was in the courtyard. Al-Hassan immediately asked, Ya Asma, ayna ummuna Fatimah? Where is our mother Fatimah? She said, my master, Al-Hassan and Hussein, come and eat. They said, where is our mother Fatimah? A few times she would tell them, come eat, and they would say, where is our mother Fatimah? On the third time, Imam al-Hassan said, Asma, when have you ever seen us eat without our mother Fatimah? And then Imam al-Hassan looked outside in the courtyard. He saw a dead body covered with a cloth. He rushed to the dead body. He hugged his mother Fatimah. His brother Hossein followed him, seeing what his older brother would do. Imam al-Hassan would weep and cry. Imam Hussein was too young to understand, waiting for an answer from his mother Fatima. Imam Hussein, he did not hug his mother Fatima. He came to her feet. He put her feet on his cheeks, and he said, Ummah, kallimini ana waladuki al-Hussein. My mother Fatima, this is your son Hussein. Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. Imam Ali alayhi salam was in the masjid with his companions Al-Hassan wal-Hussein. They rushed to the masjid, weeping, crying, moving their tears from their cheeks. The companions gathered around them. Ma yubkikuma ya abna Rasulillah, ya waladay Rasulillah. Why are you crying, O grandchildren of Rasulullah? They said, awalaysad qad matat ummuna Fatima. We are crying for the death of our mother Fatima. When Imam Ali alayhi salam heard this is the champion in Badr and in Uhud and the one who broke the door of Khaybar. When Imam Ali heard this from his sons, he could no longer stand. Imam Ali sat on the ground. Ya Fatima. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. Raise your hands in dua. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العلي الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا الله. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته، ولا هما إلا فرجته، ولا عيبا إلا سترته، ولا خوفا إلا آمنته، ولا رزقا إلا بسطته، ولا شملا إلا جمعته، ولا مرضا إلا شفيته، ولا غائبا إلا حفظته وأدنيته، ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا والآخرة لك فيها رضا ولنا فيها صلاح إلا قضيتها ويسرتها يا أرحم الراحمين. ولأرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات والعلماء والشهداء نقرأ سورة الفاتحة مع الصلوات.